Ever feel like you just desperately need another pair of hands? You know, you're juggling everything, deadlines are just piling up. And maybe you've even thought, gosh, if only a helpful cat could just wander in and sort out my emails.
Huh? Yeah, I think we've all been there.
Well, today's deep dive is looking into a service that kind of aims to be that, maybe minus the actual cat, BizCats.
That's right. We've been digging into BizCats. They're essentially an online secretarial service, but designed to handle a really wide range of back-office tasks.
Okay.
Think of them as like a virtual support team, ready to jump on those necessary, but, often really time-consuming jobs that can just bog you down.
Right. And we're basing this all on info from BizCats themselves. Yeah. Their service descriptions, why they think people choose them, FAQs, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Pulled straight from their materials. Gives us a pretty good picture of what they're offering.
So the mission today, really, is to figure out how BizCats could potentially free up your time, your resources, by taking over some of those, let's face it, essential but maybe less exciting back-office jobs.
Makes sense. Where should we start?
Well, let's start with that feeling, that need for extra hands idea. BizCats actually highlights a few common scenarios, things like maybe a key staff member suddenly leaves.
Oh, yeah, that throws a spanner in the works.
Big time. Or maybe you land a great new client, but suddenly the workload just explodes.
Good problem to have. That still feels like a problem.
Exactly. Or just that general feeling of being completely swamped. And of course, the classic goal of trying to cut down on fixed costs. Does any of that ring a bell?
Oh, absolutely. Those are super common challenges, right? For businesses big and small. And BizCats has this great tagline that sums it up perfectly. It's in Japanese.
Ah, yes, the enters down.
Precisely. Which, as we sort of mentioned, roughly means being so unbelievably busy you'd even borrow a cat's paw for help.
I love that. It really captures that feeling of being stretched way too thin.
It really does.
So, okay, what kind of help can they actually provide? What's the scope of their services? Because it seems pretty broad.
It is surprisingly broad, actually.
Yeah.
You've got the standard secretarial stuff you'd expect, appointment scheduling, handling emails, making various arrangements, researching venues, information requests.
The fundamentals.
Right. But then they get into sales administration. So creating quotes and invoices, data entry, organizing stuff, schedule management, even helping with marketing tasks or creating sales materials.
Okay, so if those are things pulling you away from, say, actually making sales, that could be pretty useful.
Definitely. And it doesn't stop there. They also offer support for human resources.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Things like helping create or update job postings, providing some HR and labor support, maybe basic queries, and managing attendance info, inputting timesheets, that kind of thing.
Okay, right. And accounting, that's always a big one.
Yeah, they cover accounting, too. Issuing invoices, receipts, handling payment processing, confirming sales and payments match up, digitizing paper slips, scanning receipts and things.
Ugh, the paper slips.
Tell me about it. And dispatching documents. For anyone listening who uses things like Xero or QuickBooks, it'd be smart to ask BizCats how they handle data entry. See if it flows well with existing systems.
Good point. It really is a comprehensive list. What else? Creative stuff.
Yeah, they touch on creative as well. Website updates, helping create various business tools or materials, even some image editing or correction.
And translation, I saw that mentioned.
That's right. Handling foreign language emails. They mention English and Chinese specifically, but maybe others, and document translation. In today's world, that could be a real game changer for some businesses.
No kidding. It's just, wow, the sheer breadth of it all. It really feels like they're aiming to be like the go-to solution for almost any back office need. Seems that way. They even list recruitment support, posting jobs, handling applicant emails, scheduling interviews, even helping with online interviews.
Okay.
And there's more. Transcription, helping manage your social media, posting updates, engaging online writing tasks, phone answering, even stuff like registering or updating products on e-commerce sites.
Wow.
Like they say, they want to cover pretty much all back office tasks.
It really sounds like they're trying to be that one-stop shop, doesn't it? Taking away a lot of those time sinks.
Exactly.
So the big question then is, why them? With such a range, what makes BizCats stand out, according to them? One thing they push is having highly selected excellent staff.
They do emphasize that. They talk about a pretty rigorous selection process. Apparently, there's a 50-employee check on things like interview impression done online, presumably, and responsiveness.
50 people. Wow.
Yeah, and you need like 80% approval just to get past that stage. That's quite a filter. That multi-stage interview process, it sounds good on paper, but it does make you wonder, how do they keep that quality up? Ongoing training and stuff once someone's hired.
That's a fair question. The initial screening is just one piece.
True. They do also mention testing general knowledge, PC skills, practical experience, using individual tests. So it sounds like a layered approach.
Which, could give potential clients some reassurance about the quality they're likely to get.
Definitely. Another thing they highlight is complete task delegation. How does that work?
Well, they explain you get a main point person, a front-end staff member, who handles the communication and basically oversees getting your tasks done.
Okay, so a go-to contact.
Right. Which is good for building that working relationship, especially when you're outsourcing stuff remotely.
And it's not just one person. They mentioned a team system.
Yeah, that front-end person manages assignments within a team, so it spreads the load. Plus, they assign a dedicated sales or follow-up contact, too, someone you can talk to directly for consultations.
Ah, okay. So that helps avoid that feeling of being disconnected, which can happen with remote services. Having that consistent contact is probably key.
For sure. Builds trust, makes communication smoother.
All right, let's talk money. Pricing, always important. And BizCats makes a pretty bold claim here, don't they?
They do. Industry's lowest price plans. Stated right there. So what are the plans?
Okay, there's a basic plan. That's all at $85,000 a month, which works out to about $93,500 with tax. It's a 6-month contract minimum.
And what do you get for that?
You get 30 hours of work per month. Support is available weekdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. But the final order for the day needs to be in by 4 p.m.
Okay, 30 hours, 6 months. Got it. Then there's a PRO plan.
Right. PRO is slightly cheaper per month, $80,000, so $88,000 with tax. But it requires a longer commitment, 12 months.
Okay. Same hours, though. 30 per month, weekdays 9 to 5.
Yep. Same hours and availability for the PRO plan. Now, even though they claim lowest prices, you definitely want to compare, right? Absolutely. Compare these rates with other virtual assistant services, look at the experience levels they offer, maybe what software they're good with. That all affects the value.
Good point. And they do have a customized plan if you need more than 30 hours, or maybe weekend or holiday support.
Flexibility. Good. Any hidden costs? Extra fees?
Well, they note that certain things like administrative scrivener services, like official document stuff and translation, or bilingual services might cost extra. So you need to factor that in if you need those specifically.
Right. And what about going over the hours? Or needing work outside 9 to 5?
They mention hourly overtime rates for both scenarios exceeding your 30 hours, or needing work done outside standard business hours. Worth checking those specific rates.
And crucially, what happens if you don't use all 30 hours in a month?
Yes. Big one. Unused hours cannot be carried over. They expire at the end of the month.
Ooh, okay. That's really important for budgeting. You need to estimate your usage pretty accurately to make sure you're getting value and not paying for unused time.
Exactly. The base price looks good, but you have to consider potential overtime, extra service fees, and that use it or lose it policy on hours.
Okay, so that's the pricing structure. Now, people always have questions, right? Let's look at their FAQ section. What common concerns do they address? Communication methods.
Yep, they tackle that. They seem pretty flexible. You can use chat work, Slack, or just email, whatever fits your workflow best.
That's good. Gives options. What about urgent stuff?
They mention using phone calls for urgent matters, so there's a way to get immediate attention if needed.
Okay. And the other big one, confidentiality. How do they handle sensitive business info?
Always a key concern. They say all their staff sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. Standard practice, but important.
And data security.
They mention secure storage and specifically name-drop LastPass encryption for sensitive data like passwords. Shows they're thinking about data protection at least.
Definitely important. What about what counts as work time? Is it just the time spent doing the task?
Good question. They clarify that all the necessary time is included in your hours.
Meaning?
Meaning things like the initial kickoff meeting to understand the project, any time they spend creating a process manual so they do it right, or just getting familiar with your way of working. That's all part of the build time.
Ah, okay. So it's not just task execution time. That's helpful transparency, sets expectations.
Exactly. You know what you're paying for.
And one last thing we spotted, something called BizCats Week. Sounds IT related.
Yeah, it seems to be a specific support service for IT back office tasks. It's interesting they branch out into that too.
Given everything else they cover, what kind of IT stuff do you reckon that might include for someone, struggling with basic IT admin?
Well, based on the pattern, it could potentially be things like basic troubleshooting, my printer's not working, kind of stuff, maybe software installs or updates, managing cloud services perhaps, or even support with data backups.
Right, the everyday IT niggles.
Possibly. If IT support is another headache for you, definitely worth asking them for the specifics on that read service.
Makes sense. So, okay, someone listening is thinking, maybe BizCats is the extra pair of hands I need. How do they find out more?
Well, their materials point to two main options on their website, which is making an inquiry, filling out a contact form, basically,
Okay.
and downloading documents like brochures or detailed service lists.
So check out the website, send an inquiry, download the info pack. Seems straightforward.
Pretty much. That's the next logical step to see if the services, the pricing details really line up with what your business needs and your budget. Get informed before deciding.
Right. So just to recap then, we've looked pretty closely at BizCats, this online service offering a really, really wide range of back office support. They really stress their staff selection, they claim competitive prices, and they do address key things like communication and confidentiality.
Yeah, it presents itself as a potential way to get skilled help, maybe cut down costs, and crucially, free yourself up.
Exactly. Free up your time to focus on the core stuff, the things that really drive your business forward.
Which leads us to maybe a final thought for everyone listening.
Go on.
With support options like this out there, what's that one critical task, that really important thing you've been pushing aside because you're just too bogged down? What could you finally give your full attention to if you had this kind of back office support handling the day-to-day stuff?
Yeah. What could you really achieve? That's definitely something worth mulling over.